China has just broken the whole EV industry. They have made an EV so innovative and inexpensive that the whole industry is baffled at how they can sell it at such a low price. Western car makers and governments are freaking out, worried that Chinese EVs will flood the market and hurt local brands. U.S. senators even wrote to Biden urging him to keep tariffs on Chinese EVs. But why is everyone so worried about one car from China? Let's find out by looking at 6 reasons why BYD and China will dominate the EV industry. Number 6, it's very affordable. The latest electric car from China that everyone in the car business is talking about is called the BYD SEAGULL. It's the littlest and least costly car from the company, starting at a very low $9,700. If you're not surprised by this because you think, oh, this is just another cheap, not good quality Chinese thing, think again. If that were the case, the car business wouldn't be worried, and there wouldn't be much of a story. But it's the amazing value that BYD has packed into this car for such a small price that has everyone talking. Everyone in the business is buzzing about this car because it's so cheap. But we don't want to say cheap, let's go with affordable. Yeah, we reckon everyone in the business should be talking about this car for real, because it's a real game changer. It shifts the idea of being cheap and cheerful, which usually means selling something really cheap. But this doesn't feel that way at all. It's something else. Because being able to compete not only in the small car market at an affordable price, but in the electric small car market at that price is truly amazing. Just think about it. This is a big deal for electric cars, especially the ones that are affordable, which have been missing in the electric car industry for a long time. And this is why Tesla is facing problems. Tesla's electric cars have always been some of the most expensive in the electric car market. Their cheapest model, the Model 3, starts at over $44,000. China's new car has now kept them on their toes. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this video, do well to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to show your support. If you've done that, let's continue. Number 5, competitive prices. So, what is Tesla doing about the threat it's facing from BYD? Well, they are fighting back against this problem by making a new car called the Model 2, which people have been waiting for. But it won't come until 2025, and it will still cost between $25,000 and $30,000. Other American car companies like General Motors have been selling cheaper electric cars for a while now. The Chevy Bolt, for example, starts at about $27,000. But with government help, it can be even cheaper, dropping below $20,000. It has been the best deal for electric cars in the U.S. since 2016. But surprisingly, even this car is twice as expensive as the BYD SEAGULL. Despite cars like the Bolt, the average price for an electric car in the U.S. is over $52,000, and that's according to Cox Automotive. Number 4, rapid growth and market share. Chinese EV growth is just very fast. Now here's the thing. Tesla needs to accept the tough truth that it's facing strong competition from China. China is the biggest market for electric cars, and Tesla is slowly losing to Chinese companies there. Just recently, BYD sold more electric cars globally than Tesla did, making BYD the #1 seller of electric cars in the world. BYD is catching up to Tesla's share of the global market fast. It's almost as popular as Tesla now, with a share of just under 20%. People think BYD might beat Tesla this year. Plus, in China, there's a big fight over prices. Last year, BYD lowered the prices of most of its cars by around 17.7%, which made things even tougher for Tesla. To keep up, Tesla has also lowered its prices. But here's the big thing to remember. If Tesla keeps fighting with prices, it's not going to win. Tesla can't make a cheaper car than BYD. The only hope for Tesla is its new Model 2. It has to be really different and show that it's worth almost 3 times more than the BYD SEAGULL. With how fast BYD is growing and how well it's doing, this will be really hard for Tesla. Plus, Tesla's stock price has been going down since November 2021. If you're still not sure if Chinese electric cars are a big deal, and if BYD could be a problem for Tesla and other electric car companies, just know that Elon Musk had to change his mind about BYD. After laughing at them in a reversal and claiming not to see them as a competition, he has now changed his mind and admitted that the cars are really competitive recently. Number 3, vertical integration and efficiency. Ford CEO Jim Farley recently made a strong statement about BYD, saying, "There is one huge company that is so impressive, BYD. They're in a totally different world than Tesla. They're totally vertically integrated, completely all the way to batteries. No one is doing that on the globe." This is a really important thing to note, and it's not just him. Volkswagen CEO Oliver Blume also talked about how strong BYD is, saying last year BYD was very strong. Even Charlie Munger, who's like Warren Buffett's right-hand man, made a big decision for Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, to invest in BYD. He said, "I have never helped to do anything at Berkshire that was as good as BYD. BYD is so much ahead of Tesla in China, it's almost ridiculous." These are some pretty eye-opening statements. Also, there's a big contrast between BYD and Tesla, as noted by Paul Gong, who heads up China Auto Research at UBS. BYD has a massive workforce of 600,000 people, which is 5 times bigger than Tesla's. And get this, they have a whole 90,000 engineers. That's pretty amazing. These really eye-opening facts show a bigger picture. China has become the leader in electric cars worldwide in a short time. Chinese electric car brands now make up about half of all electric cars sold worldwide, as they push into other countries. BYD is leading the way in this, and it doesn't seem like this trend will stop anytime soon. Number 2, China's dominance in EV industry. In 2022, BYD sold 1.86 million new energy vehicles globally, which includes both fully electric and plug-in hybrid cars. This number is bigger than the total sales of the previous 4 years combined. But in 2023, they went even further, producing and selling a whole 3 million of these vehicles. More than half of them were fully electric cars. And despite China recently ending an 11-year subsidy scheme for EVs, EV sales inside the country continue to shatter records. BYD now accounts for a stunning 1 in every 3 new EV sales. Industry veteran Andy Palmer, sometimes described as the grandfather of the electric car, sums up how China came to dominate this industry so rapidly. He's been warning about China for 15 years. He warned the Japanese, UK, and US governments that there was a real risk that China might get this right, and ultimately this has proven to be the case. China has a plan to be the best in other countries too, selling cheap electric cars that companies in the West can't make. The big advantage is that they're super cheap but still good quality. Plus, China controls all the parts that come from other countries, especially the batteries for electric cars. These batteries are the most important part and make up about 40% of the cost of an electric car. Basically, no car company, or any company that makes things with batteries, can get batteries without China's help. BYD shows how much control China has over this. A recent study by UBS looked inside a BYD car made in 2022. They found that 75% of the parts were made by BYD itself, which is twice as much as usual. Only 10% or less of the parts came from other countries. According to a detailed report by Bloomberg, it's because of strong local supply chains like these that it's cheaper to make electric cars in China than anywhere else. So it's clear how China and BYD have become so big in the electric car world. Number 1, a huge ambition. China is getting bigger even outside of China. Chinese electric car companies have started making cars in Mexico, which is right next to the US. They are already doing well in North America and want to be the best in this market too. This has made Western car companies and governments really worried. The White House sent out a message saying China's plans might fill our market with their cars, which could be a danger to our country's safety. President Biden even added, "I won't allow that to happen while I'm in charge." The U.S. government sees Chinese electric cars as a risk to our safety because they're scared these smart cars might gather data or spy on people in the U.S. But this coming from the U.S. government is, of course, extremely ironic. In Europe, the EU has already launched a probe into Chinese EVs, accusing them of unfair competition due to unfair government subsidies. Once again, the irony is rich, given how many world-famous European companies, such as Airbus, have benefited massively from similar subsidies. The U.S. auto industry has sounded the alarm as well. The Alliance for American Manufacturing said that if they let cheap Chinese cars come into the U.S., it could really hurt American car companies. Chinese cars are cheap because the Chinese government helps them, and this could make it really hard for American car companies to survive. The three big car companies in the U.S., GM, Ford, and Chrysler, used to control 75% of the U.S. market in 1984. But now they only have about 40% of it, according to experts who study cars. UBS experts think Chinese car companies will almost double how much of the world market they have by the end of the decade, reaching 33%. And because of this, American car companies might lose a fifth of their share of the world market to Chinese companies. Ford's EV boss, Marjan Gaja, says this plainly: "We've seen car companies from all over the world come into important markets eventually. Sooner or later, the Chinese will come to the U.S. No doubt about it. Electric car companies will be a big part of our future." All right, we've come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and let us know your thoughts in the comment section. We'll see you in the next video.